shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right.
Hey.
Hello.
Good evening, everybody. How we doing out there?
Oh, man. Welcome all to another edition of Takeo After Dark, the new training series. It says here it's still summer training series, but I think it's now, is it not now officially autumn?
I think after September 21st, no?
I think it is now officially autumn. We got to update our signage, man. But it is
Although
officially autumn.
it's still 80 degrees here in Illinois.
Well, it's official. It's a technically autumn. I think just Mother Nature hasn't quite decided to give us her full autumnness.
Oh, it's feeling autumn.
Let's not go there.
So,
Say what?
it got nice and cool in New York tonight, this afternoon. So all of a sudden the temperature has dropped. So, which is a good thing. This is probably one of my most favorite part of the year, where the heat's not on and the air conditioning's not on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So for the next month, I'm going to get a nice low bill. So thank
There you
goodness.
go.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I just want to welcome everybody to another edition of Takeo After Dark, and this is our new format where we are also broadcasting live on not Instagram Live. I'm sorry, on Facebook Live. We are on
YouTube
Live, and we are on LinkedIn Live, and we are on GoToWebinar Live. So we're live everywhere. We're thrilled to have you, Dave Holdorf, Jason Cox, John Barba, and tonight we have two very, very special guests. One we can see and one we can only imagine.
One that's in the
special
dark.
guest we can see. Yeah, one that's lost in the dark. There you go. I don't know, Tim. Did you put the little lever like this over your webcam? Maybe that was it, right?
Yeah.
We got John Mesenbrink and Tim Ward.
What's up, everyone?
I wish it was that simple, right? John Mesenbrink and Tim Ward from Mechanical Hub, who, going way back when, you were our original co-sponsors of
That's
Takeo
right.
After Dark, and both of you are industry
Yes, we
veterans.
were.
We've known each other a long, long time. Welcome,
That's right.
guys. We're really glad to have you.
Thank you. I have to just
Thanks
say
for
one
having
thing.
us.
The Cubs are actually playing right now, so if they start losing, I'm taking this hat off and throwing it in the garbage.
Well, you got the game on in the side there. I think you should, right?
No, I don't know. I think they're up 4-2, but anyway.
Oh well, the Brew Crew's tough, man. The Brew Crew's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
So as we get started, the cool thing about this format is now we're going to have guests, and John Mesenbrink and Tim Ward. And this was Dave's idea, and I thought it was a brilliant one. Dave, why don't you describe your brilliant idea rather than me just jumping in and taking credit for it? How about you? You describe your brilliant idea.
That's okay. Well, we're on our episode 6 already, since we started this over the summer. So we still wanted to keep our training core, what Takeo After Dark was all about at first. Well, actually, I think it was really just the 5 of us getting together and sharing a beer, and then talking hydronics for an hour.
Yeah.
But so now it's mixing it up a little bit. So we're still going to keep to the training portion. We're going to do a small portion, but having industry guests on. So the last time that we did this, we had Cheryl Merchant was on, our CEO. Had a great conversation with her a couple weeks ago. If you haven't seen it,
How do we follow that? I don't even know.
Yeah, no
How do we
kidding.
follow that up?
It's hard to. It's hard to.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't yesterday, so we did it a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And this week, I wanted you guys to be on because you're always on one side of the microphone, interviewing everybody else in the industry, and we've even been the guests on your shows as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
But we figured we'd turn the table a little bit, and we're going to do a little Q&A with you guys instead.
Ooh,
And then
okay.
we're still going to do some of the training portion. So we're going to do some pumping away, and there's going to be a part 2 that we had done with our training class in the past, and some other things. And then we also, still like you guys do, like and some of your other counterparts as well. Let's celebrate the industry as well. And we have an edition that we do called Picks from the Field. There's so many times you find pictures just thrown up and everybody just blasts them online. So we want to make sure we celebrate everybody else's accomplishments and beautiful works of art, so to speak, and keep that hydronics world going there. So
Excellent. It was a great idea, and we're psyched to have you. For you guys out there in the real world, what I'd like you to do is just for everybody on our GoToWebinar feed and all of our other feeds, could you just do me a favor and just type in a hi, hello, how are you, and let us know where you're chiming in from. Okay. I've got one from an old friend of ours already, Todd Hildebrandt, who just typed in, "You're so pretty." I guess.
Wow.
Okay, that's all right there, Todd. Thank you very much.
all
I
right.
think he thought he was logging on to that, what we were talking
It
about
might have
earlier.
been that OnlyFans thing we were talking about. Who knows? But we're, no matter what you're on, if you're on YouTube, on Instagram, I keep saying Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, or on our other feed, just type into the question section or the comment section, hi, hello, how are you, and where you're chiming in from. And if you have any questions for our very special guests, John Mesenbrink and Tim Ward from Mechanical Hub. Dave, would you like to start off the grilling? I mean, the questioning of our.
Here we go.
It's just you're on the hot seat.
The hot seat. The hot seat.
Yeah. Well, I'm just figured let's take a look at some of the names that are getting in there. So we got Todd Herzog's on, and from Ohio, and Kevin from Rhode Island. Excellent. Rhode Island. I think I know some people from there.
Yeah. People.
I'll be there next week. All right. And we got Dave from New Jersey, Leroy from Northeast Iowa. Yes. And Brett from Colorado. This is awesome. That's on the GoToWebinar. I am not looking at the other ones right now and what we got going on.
Well, I got some from on YouTube.
Okay.
Ivan Schlehofer says, woohoo. Jim Hillpiper checking in from Southern Minnesota. Steve Martino from Delco, Pennsylvania.
Nice.
Let's see. Modern Comfort checking in from Connecticut. And Ivan, he's from Edmonton, Alberta. And and here we go. Ivan says, "Yay, John. Good to see you, brother." All right, you're my favorite already. I like that. That's good. That's good. Or he might be talking to you, John. I'm not sure. Which John are you talking about? I don't know.
That's probably you,
Yeah,
John.
right. Yep.
It could be. I don't know. All right. So who's up first?
So this is going to be a short one. We're not going to be spending, I'm sure we could easily spend 2 hours with you guys going through some stuff. So we're going to do about 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
And for those of you that are watching right now, there's one camera that's not on, but Tim is in the background also with the
I am.
camera on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Technical-
So some technical difficulties happening, and of course it was 6:58, and we're like, all right, it is what it is, so we got to roll with it.
Yeah.
And we know it's worked before, and but it is what it is tonight. So, anyways, we had a question. We were talking about this the other day, and had a question for you guys, and I'm sure, when you guys were 8 years old in elementary school, and you got that question, you got that project you had to do, and you went home and said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Did you ever imagine you were going to be working in the plumbing and heating, hydronics, and construction media empire that it is?
No.
How'd you guys, get your start in here and into this side of the industry, and I guess also onto the media side of things? So, and I guess John, JP, you go first.
Oof. Well, I was just talking about the story just the other day, real quick. In senior year in high school, there was a new This is way back, like in the 80s, and they had a new program at the counselor's office, and you put in all your criteria and all your, where do you think you want to go to school, and it would spit out what your career path would be and what school you should go to. And the school was Colorado State, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, from an Illinois guy. I'm like, that's a beautiful place. But the career that they picked for me and I'm not sure if it even exists right now. It was a librarian. So that was it for me.
Wow.
So no, I started working in let me see. I graduated college with an English major. I went out to Portland, Oregon, and I got a job in the sports department there, and worked there for a couple of years. And then I followed a girl back home, and
Oh, that'll do it to you every
So it
time.
goes.
so I came back home and I worked at Connors Publishing, and they had like 45 magazines at the time. So I was getting my feet wet into um, trade journalism per se. So, and then they sold that magazine, and I just kind of went to a small mom and pop shop, which is still around, PHC News Magazine. I worked there for about 9 years. And then in 2012, 2013, I just said, hey, the industry is moving in a certain direction. Like we're on social media, we're live, on social media, we're doing stuff via Zoom. And I said, there's a shift moving in the industry where people are using more technology. So um, my partner and I, Eric Ani, do you still do Where's Eric? But
We've given up. We can't find him.
but anyway, we said, hey, let's try something online, and so we developed a website for everything plumbing and hydronics and heating and cooling and all that good stuff. And with the advent of social media, probably like 10 years ago, it's just taken off. So that's kind of where I got to this point in a long-winded answer.
Oh, that's very good. Tim, how about you, man? How did you get into this glamorous business of trade media?
It starts because my grandfather in 1947 opening up a one-man plumbing shop in my hometown of Champaign, Illinois. By 1998, when he sold it, we had about 12 trucks. So I grew up in a plumbing contracting business. I was the little kid in the warehouse during the summers or fall breaks or winter breaks, helping load the trucks for the guys on getting ready to go on the jobs and stuff like that. So I kind of grew up in the industry. After high school, I went in the military for 8 years. After that, Uncle Sam paid for 2 college degrees. I was able to then, like John, I was a journalism major, journalism, PR, and political science. I spent some time in newspapers. I spent some time in magazines and TVs, and ultimately I got back in the industry in the early 2000s, 2001, 2002, working for ASPE, American Society of Plumbing Engineers. I worked there for 3 years doing their marketing and running the magazine for the team there, and then left there and I ran a PR agency in Chicago for 12 years. And that agency, a lot of our clients were in the plumbing and heating industry. Met John through that.
Yeah.
Got to know John really well.
I
And
think
when
we
that
slipped you
shop,
Tim,
what's
I
that?
think we slipped you a Mickey one night and you didn't know it, and then we
Well,
said, hey.
well, I was getting to that. About 2013, John and Eric
So
had
you
started.
roofied him, huh?
Honestly, I think they did. We were at a trade show in Charlotte. My agency had just closed. The owners had decided to close shop, and so I was kind of doing some freelance work. And John and Eric saw me at a trade show in Charlotte, and we started talking. I knew them both well. I knew John really well. I had met Eric a couple years earlier, and they were like, we've got this thing. Maybe the 3 of us can make it even bigger and better. So I came on board. So the 3 of us in 2014 became what is Mechanical Hub today, and we've kind of grown that since that fateful day in Charlotte when they decided to take Tim out, get Tim drunk, and hey, you're going to start working with us. So, and it's actually been a lot of fun. John and Eric are like brothers to me. We're family, so it's been a hell of a ride. I think we still have a few years left in us. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny because behind you, Dave, you have our podcast, Appetite for Construction. If anybody wants to listen, we usually interview somebody in the industry. And before it was named Appetite for Construction, it was called Not Dead Yet.
I remember.
And it was Tim and I would, host the show Not Dead Yet because we're not dead yet. And we thought we still had something to give to the industry. But but then we started getting like letters and emails about like, I don't understand. Did somebody die? And so we're like, we got to change the name.
Yeah, we're gonna rebrand it. It was quick
Tim
rebrand.
came up with Appetite for Construction, the playoff of the Guns N' Roses.
There you go.
Of course.
Well, John, my question is, you could probably rebrand it back to Not Dead Yet. I mean,
Yeah.
you gave us all quite a scare a bit
Yes,
ago. Well, you want
yes.
to get into that, and thank goodness you're okay and on the
Yes,
mend.
thank
But that was
Yeah.
you had a little frightening brush with the big man, huh?
I did, and it happened to be on an island in Canada fishing, of course. So,
Oh, well, of course it did. Yeah.
oh, but it happened at an opportune time. There were 10 people having breakfast, and I wasn't feeling well, and my eyes were all blotchy, and my brain was doing weird things. And luckily I had a retired state patrolman there, and he came out and took immediate, precautions and testing and stuff like that. And like out of nowhere came this nurse who lived like 2 doors down from on the island, and she came out, and so they coordinated this 20-minute boat ride to the hospital, which was on the water. So it kind of
Wow.
worked out in my, I mean, and I don't remember much about the boat ride, but I do remember getting to the hospital, and somebody in the boat said, "I don't like this hospital because the docks suck." And I said, "Why are we going to the hospital if the docks suck?" And they meant the pier, like the docks, like
Ah,
so, but yeah, I mean, it was quite a thing. So, real quick, what happened was I had this cold and sinus infection, and I was coughing a lot. And from coughing and sneezing, it tore an artery, the carotid artery in my neck.
whoa.
So it
Wow.
wasn't anything like plaque related, or it just some freak accident. So, but
Perfect storm. I mean, you had the state trooper there, the nurse who just happened to be nearby, and a hospital across the lake. I mean,
oh yeah, it's like
good Lord.
maybe it was a script or something. I don't know.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm gonna
My
have to start
question
looking at
for-
hospitals
my-
and read them
yeah.
on their docket.
My question for John is, he's going fishing for the first
Tomorrow.
time tomorrow. Are you a little anxious for that fishing trip?
I am. Yep. And we're going to be in a remote area, I think, and with no cell service, and only 2 other guys who I hope they can lift, 300 pounds.
I'd bring the nurse and the cop with you too.
Yeah.
Just to be on the safe side, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well, Leroy from I think it was from Iowa just typed in Willie Nelson song "Still Not Dead." Opening line is, "I woke up not dead again today."
I love that song. It's in my playlist. I love it.
There you go.
I love
Well,
it.
God bless you, man. I'm glad.
It's funny,
you're okay.
real quick, I talk to people, and there's a story about, we're all getting older, and there's always health stories. And I mean, Dave, you went through something that recently with, with your heart and stuff like that. So it's no joke. We got to take care of our bodies and our health. So
I agree. I mean, it's and it's this, and yeah, no, I'm not on the tools and stuff like that, but I see us all. We totally beat ourselves up.
yeah,
I mean, I was a machinist for so many years, and I just walk over and actually this past week I had to cancel some training classes because I got a bum back as well, because I was the young guy in the machine shop lifting up 300 pounds of cast iron all the time. So, that has messed me up for a long time as well. And so did you get any advice from I mean, yes, it was a freak accident. It had nothing to do with anything, I guess. Or any advice from the doctor in the future to just keep paying attention to?
Yeah, no, he just said, this is going to take 4 months for the they call it a dissection, a tear, and it's supposed to take 4 months to heal on its own. So we're going through month 2, and he's like, I wouldn't jump out of airplanes. And I'm like, listen, man, I don't think I'd be jumping out of airplanes if I was like 25 and healthy. So, so I've been just trying to exercise more and change the diet, but it's tough, man. It's tough. I'm trying to do it.
Yep, I find that exercise part is the biggest thing that you can do. And I think so many people think it has to take so much time out of your day to do it. And if it's just getting out in the morning,
even a half hour,
just do a 20-minute walk.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, just to get your heart rate up. So yeah.
exactly.
Clears your head
And I
too.
find that does the most for me. So I got to get, these back issues are killing me right now. So it's hard to even walk at the moment. So
Speaking of
I'll get
jumping out
back
of
to it.
airplanes, Tim Ward is very afraid of heights, but in the Army, he did jump out of airplanes. Is
I
that
did.
right, Tim?
Did
I
they give you a
did.
parachute, Tim? I mean,
Yeah, they did allow me to have a status time to jump out of planes.
Yeah.
oh, cool. Very cool. Very cool.
JP,
Well,
I
I have
was
a,
not afraid. In my youth, as I've gotten older, my insecurities and my phobias have grown. I didn't have those things at age 22.
Sure.
Yeah.
Invincible.
I got you.
well, Tim, I have a question for you. Is for your years in the industry and in the media, what from the day you first got involved in the plumbing and heating world till now, what are the biggest, maybe the one or two biggest changes that you've seen, both in how people consume information and just in the people in the business in general? What are some of the changes that strike you?
Well, number one, over the last 10 years, we've seen the influx of social media and how it's changed how our partner Eric, how we engage and interact with people, where your community used to be your neighborhood and your town. Your community is now friends across the earth. I mean, we've got friends that are in Germany, Australia that we talk to, maybe not daily, but weekly. I mean, from a media standpoint, it's just the advent of what the internet and what social media has done to grow our industry from a engagement. I mean, you interact with your customers on your phone, you interact with your customers on your laptop. I mean, just how you interact with your customers is so different from a manufacturing standpoint. Just the sheer innovations that we've seen over the last 15, 20 years, and how I in John and I have talked about this. I anticipate the next 5 to 10 years to be just as crazy with AI and how things are going to be, how we're going to leverage AI and how we manufacture and the processes that we do. JP, what do you think? I mean, do you
Yeah, I
agree
agree.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say both of those things I would have mentioned. I mean, I have senior and high school twins, and this is part of it's like an appendage. It's like part stuck in their hand, like it's just scrolling nonstop. So yeah, that's a big thing that we've seen change over the years is the social media and the algorithms that are pointed towards what you like, or you all know, like if you say something at a dinner and then you look at it, I'm like, oh my God, there's why is there a
Someone's
Shetland
always
pony?
listening.
They're
Yeah.
listening. They're listening for sure.
Someone's always listening. Oh God, yes. God,
Yeah.
yes.
Can I squeak a question in here, guys?
Yeah.
I don't
Go
mean to cut
ahead.
you off, but we have to quit meeting like this. I've only met you digitally,
I know.
and I can't even see Tim at the moment.
I know.
You're not missing much, Jason. Don't worry.
Yeah, you know.
But I was
No,
going to
but
ask you guys about, we just did our national sales meeting back in Newport a couple weeks ago, and I sat through a breakout session about how Takeo is rolling out AI and what our strategies are, and sort of a broader view. It's not going to take away people's jobs. It's going to free them up to
yeah,
do what they're real, the 80-20 rule. You spend 80% of your time doing 20% of the work, right? Or the top, 20% that's burdensome. So let's use an algorithm to relieve that so they can actually do their real jobs. What do
yeah.
you guys say? Are you guys using AI currently within your organization? And have you had it write anything for you if you need to kind of squeak a quick article out, or a quick social media message? Yeah, just kind of zip one in there.
I mean, I personally don't use it for any stories that I write. I think this industry is based on, personal communication and personal contact. And I think I'd feel silly writing something that a computer generated based off of, aggregate information on the internet. So
Sure.
no, I don't use it, but we do use it. I mean, I know Tim uses it for taking notes during Zoom calls.
I love that.
We do use sometimes ChatGPT to come up with like ideas for if we're doing a proposal for something. So I'll let Tim kind of elaborate.
No, I'm with John on that. We since John and I are probably 90% of the stuff that is written across our website organically, I want to keep it that way. I do use AI extensively for note taking, for business processes. I find it streamlines so many different things. It allows me, I use it in all my calendars, and I just, the advantage we use it for, we do use it for some of our database management as well. So I think there are some huge benefits and even more things that we could use it for as a media company. We're just a small media company. When
Sure.
John says it's Eric, John, and I, that's Eric, John, and I. I mean, we've got a web team that helps us with our websites, and we've got a administration team to help with billing and stuff like that. But otherwise, 90% of what goes on the website is stuff that John and I are creating, or videos that Eric is creating. So AI, I think there's a lot of value to it for us. I just don't know how much. Well, I mean, we won't use it to write stuff. I can guarantee
No,
that.
shouldn't.
I was happy. I was joking with you guys.
No, I mean,
Great answer, guys. Great answer.
All right,
I mean,
I
it's
think
infiltrating
okay.
everywhere. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's everywhere, and it's like what Jason was saying before. It is helping us to find more time, to
Mhm.
get rid of the tedious tasks. And like what we're doing at Takeo right now was just really about inventory management.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Great use. Great
Paying
use.
attention to our orders that are coming in, product being shipped out, and making sure we have all the parts and pieces. I mean, we've got some circulators, we've got some big pumps that 5,000 parts that are in there, or variations thereof with components that you could have, and it's all customizable. So we want to make sure that we have all that stuff on hand, and of course, and what the IT guys back at Takeo were doing. They're like, oh yeah, we're just scratching the surface and what it can do.
Mhm.
Yeah, again, like you said, it's not necessarily replacing your job because you have that personal feel. I think also with us too, on the training side of things, there's no way you're going to get that training, I guess, via AI. I mean, yeah, you can watch a YouTube video and come back and watch this again, but it's still not that same face-to-face training that we always do. Yeah.
Dave, I would add that one of the things that I find it extremely valuable for, we're a global company, as are you. There are times when I get content that's in a foreign language. It's great to use as a translation tool as well.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
As long as like
Well,
Skynet doesn't come and was that Terminator?
It's coming. It's
Yeah.
coming.
Oh
There
shit.
you go.
That's fine.
Whoa, easy. Bunch of freaking language there, sunshine. Hey guys, I'm going to wrap this up with what we're a new feature that we are going to institute tonight, and
Oh,
the first people we're going to inflict it on is you.
okay.
It's the lightning round, where we're going to do round robin. We got 3 minutes, so fast questions, fast answers. All right, we all have questions. I'll start. All right, because I got the microphone. I'll start, and I'm throwing this to both you guys. But lightning round, fast questions, fast answers. First question: does Eric Awney really exist?
AI. AI.
Yeah.
Okay, he's AI. All right, now
He
I
is
got
AI.
it. All right,
There it
Eric
is.
is AI.
That
Yeah.
was well before ChatGPT came out. It was
Yeah,
20 PT. Yes.
yeah.
It was 8.
We would just so you know, we would invite Eric to be a Takeo After Dark guest. Never heard from him. All
I
right,
thought he
Dave,
came
you're
on
up.
one time. He might have come on once, no?
I think he did. We cornered him and we held his children hostage and he agreed. Yeah.
Okay.
Dave, you're up.
Next.
Well, we did ask actually a bunch of mine already beforehand. So when we were
Yep,
talking
mine too.
about- yeah.
Yep.
So, but where do you see Mechanical Hub going?
Oh man, that's a great question.
To the moon.
Yeah, I mean, we always say that we always want to step out of the comfort zone of what we're doing and always try to do stuff that's different. And when we started Mechanical Hub 10 plus years ago, we had a website because we thought there was enough information to post every day on a website. And trade magazines had websites, but it was just kind of regurgitation of like what was in the magazine. So we were doing something kind of, I hate to say revolutionary, but it was. I mean, we were putting stuff from the industry, plumbing and heating and all that on there. So I guess I don't know. we got a lot of things coming for next year. I don't know, Tim, can we even like bring it up or?
Well, I think it's easy. It's always been our mission to be the voice of the contractor, and we want to continue to tell stories, shine a light, and be an industry leader and presenting great content, knowledgeable, educational content about the manufacturers, the products, and the innovation that's going on in the industry. But at the core of our focus has always been the contractor. So we want to continue to be the voice of the contractor, and our efforts continue to be going out, saying more,
Yeah.
talking more to them, creating more content about them, and hopefully creating an incentive for the next generation to want to be in this industry.
Cool.
Excellent.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, I see that as well too. Yeah, I mean, obviously with us and the way we do things here at Taco, with the
Well,
three of us on the residential side, three other guys on the commercial, trying to it's all about the contractor. It's all about those people out there that are putting this stuff in every day. I was trying to explain my job to somebody the other day that's not from the industry whatsoever, and they said, "Oh, so you train customers?" I said, "Nope." I said, "I train my customer's customer." They're like, "Wait a minute, huh?" And how does that work out? So, it is what it is. It's very interesting. So,
But if I could say, like, and I hate to look backwards, but 5 years, COVID times, John and I talked about, let's do something. We're all kind of at home now. Let's reach out to people. And you guys were the one I reached out to because listen, you're the best at what you do. I'm hands down. So I just thought it was a great opportunity, and you guys have been doing it for 5 years. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yep. It from small things, baby, big things someday come. That's right.
I got a quick lightning round question. Besides Taco, obviously take Taco out of the equation. Who do you see innovating out there? What companies come to mind, or even if you don't want to be company specific, brand specific, what segments? Is it heat pump water heaters? Do you see where do you see innovation?
It's a lot of heat pump water heaters based off, mandates coming from different states. That's for sure. It's not necessarily new, but a lot of contractors don't like press technology, and it's something that, a lot of people do use it because it saves time and you don't use a flame on a job site. I mean, there's a lot of advantages to it, but I understand that people don't like it and they're set in their ways. God bless you. Yep. But what else? I mean, like we just talked about AI and using that in your business. I think that's going to be pretty huge coming up. We were just at a trade show last week, and there was a lot of manufacturers in the software development and AI and all that. Tim?
John and I have joked. I've been going to AHR for nearly 25 years, AHR Expo. And I remember the first time I saw business software, there were like 3 companies. Now it's
hundreds,
200. I mean, it's like the sheer volume of software companies that are investing in this industry. It's incredible.
Great answer, guys. Thank you.
All right, and I'll give you one last question. John, we talked about this earlier. Are you putting together a media golf team for the Taco Cup at AHR?
You mentioned this to me last week, I think it was, and my ears perked up like Scooby-Doo or something. I was like, whoa. I said, I can, but you already told me who I can't put on the team.
Well, and also just for the record, John, you're not getting the same kind of strokes you got last year.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, near-death experience or not, I'm sorry. You were on my team, you got a lot of strokes. You're on the other team, no.
I got back and people were asking me, like, how'd you do? And I said, I shot a 69, I think. You gave me a 36 handicap.
That's right. Yeah, next year it's 22. It's just the way it is. You showed me how good you are.
I know a couple people that I said, you might not be in the media, but I can get you a media pass. So
okay, if Scotty Scheffler and Nick Faldo show up, claiming to be 20 handicaps, we're gonna have words, John. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take you fishing again.
Yeah, right. we can do it. Let's plan it.
It'll be like going fishing with Fredo. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Oh man.
All right, gents. Hey, thank you very much for the gift of your time. This was a lot of fun. We got to get Dave online here and get to the training. But great work. It's been great working with you over these years on
thank you very
Takeover
much.
After Dark. And everybody out there, Mechanical Hub is the go-to place for information about our industry, and we appreciate what you do for both for us personally and for the industry. So thank you, and keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. You guys too.
Thanks, everyone.
And if you ever run into Ani, just tell him I said hi, because he may or may not remember me at this point. I don't know.
And that was actually that was a question I had. How did you run into Ani? Being in Minnesota, and not. I was just curious about that.
I worked on a magazine, and one of the giveaways Takeo was doing was a day with John Barba. Do you remember this? And you?
Yeah, that's right. First place was 1 day with John, and second place was 2 days with John. Yeah,
yeah, that's right. So I think it was one with, or maybe I'm getting it confused, but you were with Eric one day, and we wrote a story about it, and I was talking to him just back and forth about the story and getting quotes and stuff, and we just hit it off. He's a more progressive. Back then, 12 years ago, he was a progressive social media contractor, and it was kind of what I was thinking at the time of where I wanted to go with Mechanical Hub. And so we started it together, obviously, but that was okay. That was kind of where the whole thing kind of.
I was curious how that relationship started there. So wow,
yeah,
it was all based on you, JB.
Well, just remember me to him. Now that he's a big star, just remember the little people that knew him way back when. Yeah.
We will. Yeah, we'll remind him of that. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Great. All right. Now we get to the training portion, people.
Yeah. Now, after a brief commercial interlude.
Yes.
If this was a TV show, we'd break for sponsors. But since it's just us, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. We could do a Takeo commercial right in the middle of this now, too, right? Christina can edit that for us later on. Yeah.
There you go.
So we're going to do part 2 of pumping away, because usually when we do our pumping away conversation, it does take a little bit more than 20 minutes. And we did get through quite a bit of it from the last, that was in episode 4. Episode 5, we had talked about ECM circulators and the future where that was going when we had Cheryl on. So we're going to finish up a little bit of pumping away and what happens after the fact. And let's see here. Crap. Oh, there we go. All right.
There we go.
I was waiting for my mouse. My mouse was not clicking through. So we left off here. We started talking about pumping away. Why do we pump away from our system? And, we had a lot of different pressure gauges, and we had this drawing here. And just to show a few things, right? The circulator right now is off. And we put pressure gauges on either side of the circulator. We know we have a 12 PSI expansion tank, and we have 12 PSI on either side of that circulator because the circulator is off. That you can see over here saying a 0 PSI differential behind it. And we're going all the way up to this second floor attic space with an air handler. All right. And because of that height, okay, being 18.5 feet high from where my expansion tank is tapped into the system, that weight of the water is creating an 8 PSI drop or an 8 PSI add, if you were to think about that, right? So if we had 12 down here, we end up with 4 PSI upstairs. And this is perfect. This is what we always want to design for. We want to see that 4 to 5 or more PSI at the highest point of your structure. So this way the circulator is going to move through. So now you go ahead and you turn that system on, and let's take a look at, say, this circulator here. And this is just a little bit of review from what we had done a couple episodes ago, that this circulator that we have installed is a 4 PSI differential. So if you're looking at that 4 PSI differential, the suction side of the circulator is going to be 12 because the expansion tank says so, right? We're using that expansion tank as a reference point. And so the only thing that the circulator can do is add that pressure differential to the suction side, which gives us 16 PSI on the outlet side. And therefore, as we go all the way up and still have that 8 PSI drop, we end up with 6 psi upstairs. Again, guaranteeing the flow through our system itself. So, and you know what? This all looks fine and dandy and simple, and as I like to call it, seminar land, because in seminar land, everything is perfect, right?
I love
And
Seminar
so
Land.
seminar land's great, especially for us, right? You know, so when you could take a drawing and you put any number you want on the screen and make it up as you go along. So a couple of years ago, I had built a display. And unfortunately, that display right now is up in Rhode Island at the factory, so I don't have it here to show you the true working mechanism. Okay, but what I did do is capture a video from a couple of years ago when I did have actually
Ooh, ah.
during that first year. Actually, this was the very first time I used it as well. So when I use this display, so I do have a video shown on the next slide on what's going on, so you can see the system itself. So here's that display that I built, and I've recently changed it to a smaller expansion tank because FlexCon came out with something nice and small for potable, nice little chrome plated one. And you're going to see here a 006 E3 circulator. And at the time I used that circulator because it was a composite circulator, and I minimized all the steel in the complete system, so I didn't want to have any rust in here. And we're circulating to the left. So when you look at that circulator, flow is to the left side. This is my discharge pressure gauge. There's my suction pressure gauge. It goes up to the top here. You'll see at the top, you're going to see a globe valve. And the reason why I put a globe valve in there is to create a pressure drop. We've got some air elimination in here. And then you'll see this expansion tank crossed over. And it's got 2 valves. And one valve is to be open at all times. So this way, if I had it set up here, we are pumping into that expansion tank. And on the other side, its valve is closed. So therefore, it's not, so to speak, seen on the suction side of the circulator. So I'm going to run this video, and you'll see these pressure gauges go up and down. Oh, okay. And I threw an air eliminator up on top, and over here on the side, I got a globe valve. And that globe valve is just being used for.
You were dressed very formally back then, Dave.
Oh, yes.
Did you wear a suit?
They go after dark.
That was the original Take After Dark. Dave had an ascot, as opposed, and I was wearing an ass hat, so it's just a same kind of thing.
And the other's going to be pumping away from the expansion tank. So I only have one open versus the other. And pressure gauges on either side of the circulator. Circulator is pumping to that way, that direction. All right, so at the moment, with this valve open, with the blue valve open, I'm pumping into the expansion tank, and then this is closed off, okay? And then it's. I'm going to hit pause for a second. I just want to make sure. Can everybody hear that? I want to know that's out there. So
yeah, you guys out there in webinar land, just let us know. Can you hear him?
Should be fine.
Just put a yes in the chats if you can hear, boys and girls.
All right. For whatever reason, my chats aren't working on Facebook, so I can't see anything coming through on Facebook. So, anyways, just wanted to make sure everybody can hear that before I hit continue, so you can see the rest of this video. Going to my zone around again. Imagine the boiler somewhere over here. So if I were to kick this on, now pay attention to my gauges. All right. Right now, this gauge is reading around 22. This one's reading 21. Yeah, they're a little off. They're a little old.
All the reason to use one gauge.
Yeah. Well, I kind of had a different display, and it busted the other day on shipping. So, thank you.
Turn it on there, Dave.
This thing on, as we talk about pumping into the expansion tank, as we did last week. What's going to happen is your expansion tank is being the pressure police here. And that's going to pretty much control.
Wow. Look at that.
All right. So as you can see, we didn't really move much on that gauge. But the suction side dropped down. Okay. So now we dropped down to about 18. It was sitting at 22. So the suction side of the circulator dropped off, but the discharge is relatively close to the same as it was before. All right. So if we
hit pause on that, Dave, just for a sec, if you would.
All right. I got to turn the power off. With my valves.
Or not.
Wait, what'd you say, John? I'm sorry.
Oh, hit pause on that for a second.
Oh, okay.
I want to make sure everybody kind of got that. Is we're pumping into that point of no pressure change. The discharge side of that, the discharge pressure on that circulator did not go up. The suction pressure dropped, and that's, if you were to just tell somebody that, because we talked about that today in our class up at FW Web. It's, guys' heads kind of go explosive. That's impossible. How could that happen? But it does. It's really weird. You're pumping into the one spot in the system where the circulator can't change the pressure. The circulator has to show its pressure differential. Okay. The goes out of pressure can't go up. The goes into pressure has to go down. It's the damnedest thing you ever saw. And Aaron, who was in our class today, I think Aaron showed up tonight to join us in the class. See, Aaron, you see, he's on YouTube. You see how that works, Aaron? You see, I wasn't making it up, man. I wasn't making it up. All right, you can continue, Dave. Sorry.
All right, there we go. Let's get this. Oops, crap.
Oops is right.
We're in a 006E3 circulator.
Oh,
We have our expansion tank in, so if we go and switch it around the other way, all right, I gotta turn the power off, lift my valve, so now I'm pumping away from the expansion tank, so this valve is now open, and that's closed off. When I kick this on, again, we're at 22 over here, we're at 21 on the suction side, and we kick that on, and our suction side should stay close to what it started off as, and it is. All right, but now what we've got is about 25, 26 discharge. So the pressure differential that we wanted to add to the system is now being done properly in the system. All right, when we start pumping away from the expansion tank. Nice. So
that's pretty cool.
Parts of this came off of a display.
Awesome. So yeah, like I said, I wish I had it here today, and took a couple of weeks ago, but ended up doing our takeaway after darks from different locations. So, and keeping it in the back of my truck just proved way too
much
of a
difficult.
pain in the neck to keep it where I needed it.
Well, that thing's heavy. That thing's heavy too.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so that's pumping away in the real world. All right, so to speak. Yes, it's not on a boiler system right now, but I don't need hot water to talk about pumping away, right? So
yeah, so that's the dynamics. That's what happens within a system. Sometimes, a lot of like we've talked about, a lot of boilers have the pump on the return side, and the system works just fine. Well, there's a reason. It's usually because it's a low head circulator, like I said.
Right. So also, yes, and we did talk about that 2 weeks ago or 2 episodes ago, that if you are going to have a pump on the return side, make sure it's a low pressure differential circulator. That example I had up a couple slides ago is looking at a high pressure differential, like a 3-speed. So you want to look for those low differentials like 007, 0010, 0012s. And when we start getting even bigger, we have one that we specifically designed called a 2400 WB. So when you start looking at even more flow than what the 0012 can do, and the 12 is a pretty big pump out to 52 gallons a minute. So, but I also wanted to talk about, and this is a very common conversation that happens right around this time, and people have asked me about cavitation. Where do you put your pump on the supply side or the return side, to prevent cavitation? And so I've got a few slides that I want to talk about with cavitation. So here you can see some cavitation. This is a cutaway impeller. So there was another face to this, but it was cut open on the bandsaw, so you could see the erosion that happened on the inside of this impeller itself. So one thing about cavitation that gets very confusing is people think it's not air. It is not air. That's what the air eliminator is for. That's why 12 psi is there. All those things in between is to say this is not air that you're hearing, okay, in a circulator. So because they're not sucking in water, they're actually more pushing water out than anything. Yes, there's a suction, all right, but we have to think of that suction in a totally different way. And what we talk about is NPSH, all right, and that term gets thrown out all over the place. And what that is talking about is net positive suction head, okay, and which means I gotta have a positive pressure on the suction side of the circulator itself, all right. So, but what cavitation is going to sound like, it sounds like you've got marbles inside of there, all right, like you're pumping marbles throughout a circulator itself. It's just loud racket that's happening. And some people say, oh, it's dirt in the system, it's this, it's air, it's everything. Cavitation is not air. Air has been removed from the system already. Now, what's interesting is that cavitation is really, really, really hard to have in a small residential design system. All right. It's just not that big enough a circulator to happen. So what is cavitation is the biggest thing that we want to talk about. All right. And cavitation, and here's another impeller that's ripped apart. And yet these are going to be some sentences here. It's where you have such a low pressure. All right. And usually that's going to be on the suction side of the circulator itself. Once you get into the impeller itself, before the pressure differential is increased. All right. And it also and has a lot of chances to deal with where the water supply is coming from. All right. Especially if the circulator is above it. And that's more in the world of a pump than it is in a circulator, but it also happens in circulators as well. I'll talk about that in a couple minutes as well. And it's also because we got hot water, right? If we're looking at boilers that are doing 180 degrees, water boils at 212, right? Now, the lower the pressure, water boils at 212 at 0 psi. We go ahead and put pressure on it that prevents it from boiling there. But when you have really low pressure, all right, and high temperature, now it gets close to almost creating steam, okay, is what's going on. And like I said, it's really hard to happen in a residential setting when you're looking at fractional horsepowers like 007s, 0015s, even 0012s is really hard to create cavitation with a fractional horsepower. It's you got to really have some heat behind it, so to speak, on the motor side of things. So I saw this representation. I thought this was really cool to take a look at, so you can see what's actually happening. And you'll say that you impinge the impeller. And so what happens is when you see here, it says pressure drop. Well, the pressure drop's the inlet of the circulator. That's the casing, that's the design. All right. And cavitation bubbles occur. And that's all of a sudden starting to look at this low pressure. And as the pressure gets lower, the bubble expands really big. And it's more or less steam in a way. It could be in trained air, but it's not really in air that's in the system that you see. And it's a rapid expansion, and then it's a rapid collapse that happens also. And when you collapse it, that's where this intense energy comes into play, and it can impinge the impeller. And I got another picture of it too to just take a look at what you're looking at here.
It's like an implosion almost.
It's an implosion in a way, yeah. Definitely.
Is that where the sound is coming from?
Yeah.
That's what the sound is. The sound
actual implosion
part right there. Yep. All of a sudden that bubbles gets squished violently and quickly. And so that impinges the impellers and starts to rip them apart. So, I mean, here's one that had very consistent, but it was not so scary, so to speak. They just let it run and it just slowly eroded away. So it wasn't as bad as the first impeller that I showed you. And here you can see where it happens inside the circulator. It's going to happen mostly right there in that beginning, because that is where that lowest pressure is. All right. Or you see that pressure drop that's occurring as we're entering into the eye of the impeller itself. And as the distance grows, that's when all of a sudden the pressure changes and then the implosion happens. Okay.
That's really cool.
They start collapsing out in the middle. It's usually not right in the beginning of it. Beginning would be the worst case scenarios, very, very low pressure that you're going to see in the system. But the majority of them are going to happen somewhere in the middle, like you see here.
Yeah. I mean, look at the pattern on that. It's almost identical for each vein. I mean, it's almost exactly in the same spot on each one. Isn't that incredible?
It's crazy what it happens. And like I said, it's going to be hard. You're not going to see this happening residential, but I still wanted to talk about cavitation. For those of you guys out there that are pretty excited about it as well.
And we get a lot of questions. I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Okay, go ahead. Go with the question.
We get a lot of questions in class when we talk about things going wrong. Say, well, is that cavitation or is that cavitation? We're talking about residential circulators. As Dave said, virtually impossible to happen in a closed loop hydronic residential system with those fractional horsepowers.
Yeah, your 007 is a 125th. Okay.
Yeah.
And now when we start talking about ECM, we don't even talk about it in horsepower anymore. We just talk about it in wattage, and that's a 44-watt circulator. So here you're going to see that pressure drop. That bubble all of a sudden starts to form inside there, right? But then, and this is milliseconds where this happens. Now all of a sudden the pressure increases because you've got that pressure differential that is being applied to it, and it starts to turn into a donut. All right, that bubble now starts to get squished down into a donut. All right, and the forces go right through the middle really fast. All right, where it's increasing that pressure, and then eventually this is where the, so to speak, implosion happens. And then that implosion happens. It's kind of like they call it a microjet. It's just so pinpoint that goes right through and then implodes that the bubble, which then it starts to impinge on the impeller itself. So this is the whole process that really happens to that, so to speak, air bubble on the inside. But it's kind of like it's not air, because this isn't air, right? The air has been removed already. This is just that low pressure. It's almost steam at this point. Okay, it's on that verge of steam to water, back to steam, back to water again. It's so close to becoming steam, because steam takes up so much more space than the water does, but it doesn't allow it to turn into steam, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and it happens in a space about that long, right? The
Yeah,
whole
very
thing.
short, very
It takes
short
about
time.
that much space in the system.
So how do we fix it? Now, let's say you do have a steam boiler, and I know back here where I am on Long Island, we do a lot of steam boilers, and we want to put a wet leg on it, right? We want to have a baseboard zone in the basement. All right, what you're looking for is to make sure you got enough positive pressure above the suction side of the circulator. So here you got to get it as low as you can. If you can get it off the bottom of the tank, and you could dig a hole in the ground, you put the pump in there. All right, even better. All right, so now you've got that stack of water sitting on top of it, because this is what you don't want to do. And I see this so many times. If you're looking at a steam boiler here and they put the pump right off the tapping off of it where the condensate side of it is, yeah, you're going to definitely, even though you're pulling off the bottom here, you don't have any positive suction head here. Okay, so the tapping is in the same spot as we had before, but this is going to create cavitation. All right, now in a small circulator, it's not necessarily going to create cavitation. It's just not going to create any flow either. You'll have 0 PSI in the system, all right, or very little PSI in order to move the water around. And obviously, this doesn't work either. Okay, so putting those circulators, even though this is, hey, still in the same spot as we saw in picture 1, yeah, again, we're not going to be able, it's not a pump, all right, it's a circulator. It's not a positive displacement in order to pull that water out of that tank. So, so again, what you're looking for in these situations is, again, looking at flat curve pumps, 007, 0010, 0012s out there, trying to make that circulator curve as flat as possible, not creating a lot of pressure differential. And I saw a picture the other day. I had to pull it in real quick. Here it is, steam boiler, wet leg. They put a little storage tank on here, making sure they had a little bit of extra, and that circulator is below the tank.
It's on the floor. Look at that.
Yeah, it is practically on the floor there. Right, so getting that. Now, me personally, also, I would probably make sure this is stainless steel, all right, because it is an open system. You'll have a cast iron. It's not going to give you the long enough lifespan behind it. And that's the same thing like we have with 2400 WB. We've designed to work with some wood boiler manufacturers as well, where you've got a storage tank and you're trying to pump that water back and forth between the boiler and the tank itself. You don't have a lot of positive pressure. It's an open system again, but get that pump as low as you can below the tank line as much as you can.
Yeah, you see it very often in wood boilers, and get that, like keep the circulator really low with it. Hopefully at least 12, maybe 24 inches of straight pipe filled with water heading into the inlet side.
Yeah, and the more I look at this picture, and I see that it ended up using a 0015 on this, and I see this tank and this stand as relatively new, all right, and that's because he probably could have gotten away without having this extra tank of water here if he had made that a 007, 100%. Yeah.
Yep.
So this was just me scouring online yesterday, trying to find some pictures of steam boilers with a water leg coming off of it. So anyhow,
Cool.
Any
Good
questions,
stuff.
people? How we doing? Any questions on cavitation and pumping away?
Not so much, but just some good questions here overall. Talking about pumping away. Tony Servano asked if you have a Venturi system, is it okay to put the circulator on the supply? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's same dynamics at play. So absolutely pump away from the expansion tank, from that point of no pressure change. And another one from Matt Whelan, which I thought was a really great question. In a primary secondary system, do you want the point of no pressure change on the suction side of the secondary pumps or the primary pumps? I want to make sure we understand the terms here because people get primary, secondary confused. If we're talking about a modulating condensing boiler, right? Let's talk about a ModCon boiler with the boiler piping going into the header and then the header. So we have the boiler loop and then we have the system loop. Personally, I would put the point in the expansion tank, your air separator, and the point of no pressure change on the system loop, the heating distribution loop, and then the circulators for the heating distribution loop, pumping away from that. Kind of like,
Sorry.
Where are we, Dave? Oh.
No, I thought I had a picture of it. That was in a different presentation.
No, no worries. Yeah, I would put the air separator and expansion tank on the heating distribution loop, okay, on the heating distribution loop, and then pump away from that. Paul, you can ask questions. Ask questions, right? You just typed in no chat here. Can't ask questions. That's where you ask questions. There you go. So that's kind of how that. I hope that answers your question, Matt. I leave the boiler light. You'll have the boiler pump will be pumping into the heat exchanger because that's the highest pressure loss point. So the boiler pump's on actually the return leg going into the heat exchanger. And then on the header, you have your expansion tank, air separator, and then your circulators after that. So you pump away from that point. But if that's the question you're asking, I think that's the way we go. Chat GPT agrees with everything we said. Okay, great.
Yes, all right.
Love me some Chat GPT.
Excellent. All right.
Good stuff, guys.
Excellent stuff tonight, guys.
And Rich McGrath says about this. Actually, Rich McGrath says about this installation, you got to have the tank, or you got schmutz from the boiler going through the whole system. I think he's right about that too.
Yep, definitely. Yep. So.
Oh, okay. Paul says you can't see other people's questions. No, that's true. You cannot. We can see them, but I don't think the whole general world can. So
correct. Right.
Good question.
Not through the GoToWebinar platform. That is correct. You would see them if you're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. You'd see everybody else's questions and comments. Excellent. Yep. All right. So one of our last sections of the night, picks from the field. All right. So if those of you that are not familiar with picks from the field, I got a QR code here. So if you want to submit any pictures, we're going to get your photos. We're going to get your job sites. We're going to celebrate them. All right, that's the whole biggest thing that we liked about it. And at the same time, we're going to give you some 500 bonus points through Contractor Rewards. And if you're not a member of Contractor Rewards, take a look at that. All right, so this is just a generic photo from pics from the field that we use for the advertising of it itself. So I do have a picture that I happen to find buried on my PC somewhere. And this is from a company in Pennsylvania. Plumbing. And I happen to find this one, and it totally tied into that conversation with John Mesenbrink before in regards to PEX. I mean, not PEX. Sorry, press
fittings. Yeah.
Solder here, and this was an entire job all soldered in, right? So, and what you got seeing going on here is your expansion tank tied into the air elimination right behind that piece of pipe in here. And these two T's are the injection from the boiler itself. All right. And so we had a couple of Delta T circulators in here. Looks like he's got the sensors all wired in and ready to rock and roll. The return sides are up in the ceiling itself.
See, now that's interesting. He's got the point of no, or he has the air eliminator and the point of no pressure change. What looks to be on the return side before entering the closely spaced T's that go to the boiler, which I've seen that installation method in like Weil McLean's books for their boilers, and some of the others will have it illustrated set up like this. Many of the other ones I've seen was they'll take that air separator and point of no pressure change and move it to the other side of the closely spaced T's. So we're getting the air eliminator where the water is the hottest. and that's where the air wants to get out the most. So I don't think this is particularly wrong. It's just a different way of doing it.
Exactly. Yep.
Good job,
So,
Horn. That's really nice looking work.
best thing here, and I also happen to notice the mix valve being installed for the DHW. All right. Yes, it's not a green one, but that's okay. But anyways, I don't remember how long I've had this photo. It's been buried on the machine for a little while. And if you have any pics that you want to share with us, take a picture of that QR code. That'll get you right to the form so you can submit them into us. And give us a little bit of history about the project too. I don't know much more about this project at the moment other than that. And to round out our night, all right, where in the world is everybody? What are we going on? What have we got up to? Come and hang out with any one of us out in the field other than Wednesday nights. All right, so Jason hanging out in the
What's up, my
West.
dude?
All
Yep.
right, let's see the Terminator Jason.
I
Right.
am really excited for next week's factory training. My boss John Barba asked me to take a little bit more of the weight and do a little bit more, have a little bit more participation in the factory trainings, which I'm super excited for.
You're ready, my man. You're ready.
You know what? It's easier for me to do that than it is these webinars. Yeah, just kind of talk it out into the ether. But then I come back. I do a couple of little regional things here in Northern California, Western Nevada, and I do a PG&E training, and then I'm really looking forward to getting up to our brothers north of the border. I'm going to be at Cyfex West. I'm a guest speaker there, talking about. Speaking about how to properly circ heat pump water heaters as we move forward, and what solutions we have for that. So I'm super excited for that, guys. Come join us at Cyfex West in Vancouver, Canada.
All right.
Great city, Vancouver. One of my favorites.
I love it up there. I really do love it up there. It's beautiful. It's kind of like Seattle's cooler brother.
There you go. You ever go up to the top of Grouse Mountain?
Well, is that by Whistler Blackcomb?
No, it's actually right across. It's right across the Stanley Bridge
not sure.
from Vancouver. You're not going up as far as that. It's Grouse Mountain. You take a little cable car up to the top. Great restaurant, and amazing views. Absolutely amazing views.
I might have to look into that, John.
Yeah, Grouse Mountain. You want to go there?
Grouse Mountain.
Grouse.
All right, where am I going to be? I'm all over the place. All right, so next week I've got a group coming in from FW Web from Western Connecticut into Rhode Island on Tuesday. Then we've got the factory class, our last factory class of the year. All right, the 2-day factory class that we have. So if you wanted to get to one and you didn't sign up, well, you're going to have to wait until the springtime. So sometime in early next year, we'll put up the calendar for 2026. Then from there, I'm heading up to Windsor and London, Ontario. I got 2 full-day training classes with my rep, Justin Dunford. And while I'm in Ontario, I think Wholesaler Wolseley is doing an Oktoberfest, so I don't think I'm going to work that hard that night.
I know you, Dave.
Scheduled, so I'm just
I'm in the neighborhood. Why not, right?
I'm in the neighborhood, so it's about 20 minutes from the airport, so I think I'm going to be hanging out there that night. And then I jump out to Altoona, PA. All right, with APR Supply. I've got a morning class out there, so if you're out in that neck of the woods, go find your APR wholesale sales guys and find out about the class. So
awesome. Good stuff.
So that's where I'm at. So been very, very, very busy October.
The Road Warriors.
And then JB, wherever he wants to be.
Wherever he wants to be, right? Yeah. Well, actually, I've got some personal stuff going on, so I'll probably be out of touch over the end of October, beginning of November for some personal stuff. Jason's actually going to be handling that Eastern Washington, Northern Idaho training for us, and
I got
we'll
you.
be doing a dandy job. So
that's
and we'll
why
be back.
It's good to be the king.
It's good to be the king. That's right. That's right. And then we'll be back in the saddle after that, after the week after that. So That'll be pretty cool. That will be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. Might be doing some stuff down the Cape. Might be doing some more stuff over in Londonderry, New Hampshire. So we're trying to keep busy and staying out of trouble, which is,
There you go.
I need that. Otherwise, mischief finds me. I don't know why.
Yep. Heavy is the crown.
Heavy is the
Yes.
crown.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Therefore, that pretty much wraps up our night.
That wraps it
Other
up
than-
for
I
us.
learned stuff. I learned some stuff tonight, guys. This is cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely. And now
I do
we're not
wanna-
going to. We'll be out until October 29th, and it's going to be another big event. So Dave, what's happening on October 29th?
So October 29th, our special guest again is going to be Cheryl Merchant, CEO of Takeo. She wanted to join us for a second one. She had so much fun the first time, she wanted to come a second time. And our training portion is going to be talking about the new controls that we have out. So if you haven't played around, haven't used a Dash 5 control just yet, we're going to be going over that for the training portion. And if you have any comments, questions, or anything at all in regards to Cheryl and her future thoughts about Takeo, don't hesitate to come see us. So
Yeah,
it's going
it's-
to be a great session, definitely.
It is very rare when you get the opportunity live on social media and wherever else to ask questions of the CEO of anybody, really. But this is a major hydronics manufacturer in the HVAC industry. This is your chance to ask some real world questions. Last time we did this, we got a few technical questions. Well, Cheryl's not the right person to ask technical questions. That's our job. But you want to know about the direction of Takeo, some of the higher level stuff at Takeo, what Takeo means, where it's going, and what our commitments are to the industry and to the trades. She's the perfect person to ask. And if you saw the first one, you'll love the next one, because Cheryl's not shy about sharing what she really thinks and how she really feels about that. So that's what's going to make this really fun and really good listening. So we hope to see you there.
Excellent, everybody. Thanks. And
Thank you.
catch you guys later. JB, JK,
What's up?
JP,
GH.
if you guys are still
JP
on
and
with us.
JP and TW and Eric Ani, wherever you are, have a great night.
Thanks for joining
Bye,
us
guys.
for another episode of Takeo After Dark. Greatly appreciate you all. All right, have a great one. Look forward to seeing you out there.
Lay
Bye,
down,
guys.
people.